Hey, my name's Tyler Mulvey, and this is my presentation for BUS-498. Just start out with a little bit of my intro, where I'm headed. I'm currently working in healthcare finance at Tri-State Memorial Hospital as a peer reimbursement analyst. Uh, when I got hired on, I had a career path set out in place for me to work from this position to one in senior management as a revenue cycle director. I'd essentially be overseeing all of the insurance-based departments on the finance side of the organization, streamlining and creating processes to capture more revenue. My end goal through all of this uh, is to gain experience so I can become an independent revenue cycle consultant, travel around to different hospitals, clinics, uh, kind of help them with their processes, work independently. So to start this all out, I did self-assessment essentially, and kind of a partial SWOT analysis. So to start out with, I'll hit on what motivates me. I'm very internally driven. The whole world can be telling me to go one way, and if I'm motivated to do something else, I'll do what I feel is right. Um, that external motivation has never been a big player in my life. Um, my self-motivation mainly follows intrinsic rewards, specifically achievement and freedom. Um, I'm highly driven to meet goals and complete personal achievements, and not necessarily for the recognition that that often brings, but just for that internal feeling of succeeding at something that I set out to do. Um, through those achievement goals, that will lead me to achieve greater freedom, specifically in this independent consulting position that I'm striving for. Um, by achieving my goal to move from this position to the director position and senior management, that's kind of stepping stones to get where I want to be to obtain that freedom. Um, wealth, on the other hand, I view it kind of as an ancillary motivator through the achievements, such as getting to this next level of my career. Um, getting that wealth just helps me with more security, and thus it makes it easier to achieve that freedom, such as having that security that I know I can fall back on if I do decide to set out on my own as an independent consultant. My work style, um, I enjoy complicated, non-routine work. Uh, routine kills most of my motivation. Day-to-day tasks or repeated tasks over an extended period of time train me mentally and physically. Um, I excel in independent work. Some of my previous positions, I've had more leadership and collaborative opportunities, but the majority of my work has been independent in nature. For example, in my current position, I report directly to the CEO just for oversight reasons. Everything that I choose to do, I choose when to do it, how to do it, what avenues to take. And that also kind of brings me to disliking work without purpose. Uh, that routine, day-to-day work, there's no strength behind it. No weight. I like to be able to look at something that I did, say last week, and see, well, hey, this led to 5% increases, something tangible that I can see. Um, helps drive me a lot and makes me a lot more motivated to do my work. Um, starting off with strengths, it's the first part of the SWOT analysis. My first one's I'm adaptable. Um, I like chaos way more than I like routine. Um, I'm at home in rapidly changing environments or being thrown into something that I'm not familiar with. Um, kind of spurs me, gets me going to learn more, see what I can do with my current skill sets. This is something that I can use greatly moving forward. Um, those new ideas that I pick up are going to be indispensable, and everything from here on out is essentially an unknown to me. Um, so being able to adapt to the situations this calls for is going to be a huge boon. One of my other strengths is my experience. I previous employment as a manager kind of gives me those foundational skills in management, leadership, collaboration, um, and process management, especially. Moving into this director position and as an independent consultant, because you're essentially a contracted manager. Some of my other previous employment that I've had in insurance has also laid down some really great foundational skills. Just knowing the basics of the field that I'm in, especially for the revenue side, because most of that's centered around insurance and the payments, denials, authorizations, that sort of thing. Um, And then on top of that, my current and continued employment at Tri-State has and every day gives me background in healthcare finance, administration for healthcare and business in general. And some of the opportunities it's offered me has also helped push me into more managerial leadership focused areas. So that helps greatly as well. And all these things can be applied to that independent consultant position. Um, they're all pillars of what I would have to know how to do, processes to use, how to interact with different facets, whether it's an insurance company, subordinates, CEO. Um, Another strength is creativity and curiosity, which just really came forward in my current line. In healthcare, a lot of times there's not a cut and dry answer to things. You have to be creative with your processes, whether it's an IT issue, figuring out a way to project reimbursement for an insurance company accurately. Sometimes it's not the best way, is not the first one seen. Um, and those unorthodox solutions and processes are what really drive success at times. But on top of that, I'm always searching for how things work or interesting information on a given subject. By learning small individual intricate parts of an overall whole, it helps me understand the whole a lot better. And I can kind of connect different parts and fill in the blanks out there. But moving forward again, independent consultant, going into different organizations, you're going to have to be creative. You have to work within their bounds to solve their issues. So I think that's a good driver for that position. Another strength is my objectivity. I'm really good at separating emotions from subjective opinions, decisions, and this will help me a lot in a consultant position. So I'll be able to view others' issues, ideas, decisions rationally and logically, kind of separate out my own opinions, feelings, and that goes hand in hand. I think better ideas prevail. I can think I'm 100% right, but if somebody gives me the facts that they know and can rationalize why I should change my mind, I'll change it. A better idea should take precedence over mine, even if I have an emotional tie to my own. Another strength is my connections. Coming in, I was working directly underneath the chief financial officer. Now I've moved underneath the chief executive officer, and I've had an ongoing relationship with an independent consultant that we work with in Seattle. They're all extremely high, valuable sources of knowledge that I can really ask at any time. Questions on different parts of the organization. And hopefully in the future, moving into this, they can reference my ability as an employee at that consultant position. Another positive for that is they've also helped get me access to industry-centered lectures, networking events, and educational classes, which most people would not have the ability to, or the financial ability to especially attend if it wasn't for them. Another strength, I'm determined and persevere through pretty much anything. If I start something, I'm going to finish it. If I don't finish it, it's going to be because you fired me. I find a lot of joy in breaking down barriers and beating obstacles. The more frustrating, the better. The stress that comes from those helps drive me. And each of those barriers that are broken down or obstacles that I've climbed over, those just further my knowledge and my skills that I can apply in the future. And all these barriers, obstacles, these are oftentimes ones that many different hospitals, clinics, there's usually some commonality between what they're facing, so I can apply that knowledge directly in those future positions. Some of my weaknesses, I can be too rational. I tend to disregard feelings if they undermine logic. They don't really have a place in those logical decisions a lot of times. But being in a management position, I do know that you're managing people. So sometimes toning down that dry, rational logic and letting at least a little bit of feelings or emotional capacity into a decision can help, especially in things between different employees that might be underneath me. That's something that I'm working in progress all my life. Shout out to my girlfriend for helping me on that. But by working through that, I'll become a better manager. It's just work in progress. Other weakness is my lack of knowledge. While I'm learning every day and I do have some good background knowledge, everything in healthcare is constantly in flux, and there's just an enormous amount of information that nobody could ever fully take in. So I'm learning as I go every day. It's essentially, I go to school for 8 hours at work almost, and then I come home and do my studies for LCSE. Um, I don't have a whole lot of extra time, but when I do, I try to do a little bit of studying on different ideas, processes, viewpoints for other hospitals outside of my own, so I can get some more background information, and just being able to apply that knowledge over the course of time will help me be a more well-rounded independent consultant and get me into that position. Um, Another weakness, kind of along the same lines, is I lack individuals that can teach me directly. The CFO, CEO, while they have a lot of knowledge, nobody in my organization has direct knowledge of what I'm doing. I'm essentially on my own. The closest person would be the independent consultant that I work with, but she is in Seattle. Um, so it's hit or miss if I can get answers when I need them. So a lot of times I have to fall back on my own personal research. But again, being able to find out where that information is indispensable in the future. Another weakness is my leadership in public speaking. I've never liked speaking in front of groups, and I don't have much experience in a leadership position that I would be moving into. Um, Currently, to kind of mitigate that, I've been taking on additional duties that I would as the revenue cycle director. So I've been running meetings, kind of running minor project management programs, um, get me out there talking to people, leading groups, um, and just getting me exposure, and that's it. My next weakness is actually one that came up during my last annual review, was my assertiveness. Because I have a tendency not to speak out about ideas or issues or challenge others when it's needed. I think a lot of this just stems from my lack of knowledge. I'm not fully confident in what I know, so I don't want to be wrong on something that could cost the hospital $100,000. But running these meetings and continuing to learn has kind of made me more confident in what I do know. So even now, I've noticed an increase in my assertiveness. I will challenge an idea that somebody else has if it does not work up to my scrutiny. But that is something that, moving into that director position, I will have to be assertive when it comes to different processes, putting them under scrutiny, calling out issues that I see, that sort of thing. My last weakness in my educational background, I'm business administration versus healthcare administration, which most of our directors have masters in healthcare admin. It's not as applicable to the field. To counteract this, I'm working towards getting additional certification and things such as the CHFP for certified healthcare financial professionals. But overall, currently I'm not ready for my dream job, but by using my strengths and kind of the ways that I previously outlined, I can steadily move forward to increase my knowledge, increase my skills, adapt to these situations that I'm not familiar with. And these will help me not only get down my current career path, but once I'm there, they'll help me learn the necessary information and skills needed to jump into the independent role, um, while also helping me better in my weaknesses, forcing myself into these unfamiliar positions, such as the meetings, for things I just generally dislike. Helps me be more well-rounded and more of an asset when I do step into that role. So while I'm not ready, I do believe that I have a pretty good path and individual goals set to get there, and hopefully that dream will come true. Thank you.